She has turned 30. She's done. Her life is finished. Nobody wants a 30-year-old woman. Look at those wrinkles. Her hair are turning gray. There is no life after 30. She has to realize that.
The Substance, the most disturbing, scary, and honest premiere of 2024. A movie about the reality of aging as a woman. A movie about how it feels when your only value is reduced to your looks. If we dig deeper through the scary and disturbing symbols of The Substance, we will discover a ton of references to the societal inadequacies and problems. So let's analyze the psychology behind this movie and understand what The Substance is truly trying to tell us. Before we begin, let me warn you, this video will be packed with spoilers. The main character of the movie is Elizabeth Sparkle, a famous Hollywood actress who is hosting a TV fitness show. The kind when she and two other pretty ladies behind her are showing you different exercises that you can repeat after them from the comfort of your home. When she turns 50, her life changes forever. When a TV producer named Harvey, coincidence? I don't think so, tells her that she is fired due to her age, in one of the most gross and disturbing scenes of the entire movie.
People just love that. I mean, that's just the way it is. So you know what I mean? People are just people. And I have to give people what they want.
Still going on through the personal crisis, Elizabeth is admitted to a hospital after a minor car crash. A doctor who looks way too young and beautiful to be qualified for anything other than bringing coffee to the hospital staff, this guy gives her a mysterious flash drive. At home, Elizabeth checks the video on the drive, which is a promotion of a new drug called The Substance, which allows you, let's say, to develop a better version of self. After placing an order, Elizabeth receives The Substance. The way it works is you give yourself an injection. Important note, you can do it only once. This injection makes you give birth in a way, because it happens through your spine, to your more beautiful, younger version of self. Once that other self is produced, you start living double life. It is mandatory for you to live in your old self, in your old body, every second week. So 1 week you spend in your other self, in your new beautiful body, and 1 week in your older body. And this is because your other self, in order to survive, needs to receive daily injections of some special spinal liquid from your main original body. And that liquid needs to regenerate. It only regenerates when you live in your older body. Elizabeth produces her other self, Sue, a young and sunny girl who easily gets her old job at the TV show and becomes a new celebrity. Now that Elizabeth has this new body, this new life, when she is desired and beautiful and successful once again, it becomes harder and harder for her to go back to her original older body. So she starts delaying this process more and more. Unfortunately, this delaying makes her original body, the body of Elizabeth, to decay. And after some time, there is no more spinal liquid to sustain Sue. Elizabeth, enraged by Sue's irresponsible behavior, even though it's her own behavior effectively, because Sue destroyed her body, wants to terminate the process, but is unable to go through with it. In a unique moment, when Elizabeth and Sue are both awake, Sue attacks and kills Elizabeth. And now, without mother body to sustain her, she starts falling apart too. Desperate, seeing her body falling apart, Sue does the substance injection once again. Remember that injection that you can do only once, and as a result, not a better self, but a monster. Monstro Elsa Sue is born. Obviously, people do not look kindly at the monster as they did at beautiful Sue. And now, whatever is left of Elizabeth, the face, let's skip off the violence that happens, this face goes to die on the Hollywood star on the Walk of Fame, Elizabeth Sparkle's star. Obviously, the main problem presented to us in the movie is ageism, the cult of youth. Elizabeth is fired simply because she turned 50. That scene when Harvey is consuming the shrimps in front of Elizabeth is showing to us how women are consumed by society, by the industry, and when they are too old or less attractive, they are discarded just like the empty shrimp shells. That's exactly how Elizabeth feels sitting in front of Harvey. Interesting moment. Harvey is probably older or at least the same age like Elizabeth, but he is not being discarded. He is the one who discards her, and that is because his value as a man, as a producer, is not reduced to his youth and his looks. We see that it's all about the male gaze, the sexuality. As long as you are desired, you're a valuable good. We can see the same attitude from other men in the movie. For example, neighbor comes to Elizabeth to attack her, to argue with her because of the noise, bangs on the door, but once the door is opened, he sees Pretty Sue instead of Elizabeth and completely changes, becomes very nice to her.
You know, open! Sorry. I thought that Miss Sparkle...
She moved out. I'm the new tenant.
The guy with who Sue spends the night, who is attracted to her, the very next morning pushes Elizabeth away in a very rude way because she's not as attractive and interesting to him. It's very interesting how this concept of aging is highlighted by the movie's symbolism. At first, I couldn't understand in which time the movie is set up. Elizabeth is using an old wired phone, but then she has a mobile phone too. She is using modern cars and then she's not. She's using old models. The TV show, especially when Elizabeth is hosting it, seems to be set up in the 80s. I think we can safely say that the movie is not set up in some exact timeline. The time is kind of subjective there. It highlights this gap between old Elizabeth and new Sue. The worst part is that Elizabeth loses the sense of her own value too. When she's being fired because of her age, she's not getting mad, she's not arguing, she doesn't try to remind everybody about her talent, her experience, her contribution. Just like everybody else, she discards her own body for her alter ego. After Elizabeth is fired, she loses all of her confidence. There is a moment in the movie when Elizabeth meets her classmate, a guy she didn't see for many, many years. He, of course, admires her, wants to take her out for a date. Elizabeth doesn't plan to go through with it. She takes his phone number and forgets about it until she wants this boost in her confidence. She wants to top up her self-esteem with his admiration because external validation is all she ever had. But in the end, when she's getting ready for that date, she can't go through with it. She goes back to the mirror, she fixes her makeup, she changes her makeup, she removes her lipstick, and she goes back and forth, in the end not going anywhere because all she sees in the mirror is an old woman. She can't bear other people seeing it too. In this movie, women are nothing more than pretty things. This is demonstrated by Elizabeth's alter ego Sue. Scenes with her are even shot in a different way. We see a lot of close-ups of her lips, of her butt. Even the fitness show is turned from a fitness class to just working on camera. When I was watching, I was thinking, who will be repeating these moves? It's not exercises anymore, and no instructions are being given either. It's just about being seductive on camera. When Harvey calls Sue and tells her that the ratings have skyrocketed, it is clear that this happened because of men. The audience, the target audience of the show has completely changed. One of my favorite moments in the whole movie is when Sue sees a chicken drumstick popping on her butt cheek. This is the first moment in the movie when Sue feels self-conscious and she wants to hide her body, to hide it and run away. And guess what? They don't even have a robe for her. When Sue is running away, self-conscious, to just be alone, to check her body alone in the comfort of her room, she leaves the men, a crowd of men, watching her butt in slow-mo on a huge screen. This moment with the chicken is a synonym of an eating disorder. You may have noticed that the food is only present in the scenes with Elizabeth, and it's always disgusting.
Yes, that's right.
Oh my God, that is huge news!
That's because Sue is in a trap of the society objectifying her. Because they want to see her perfect, for her food becomes something gross and unnecessary. That's why she literally sees the drumstick on her body, as if she ate, her beauty would be spoiled immediately. When a woman is being objectified, she has a tough choice to make. She can either show her true self, her imperfect self, and thus disappoint everyone around, and disappointing others is not that easy. Sometimes it leads to bad consequences, as we see in the end with the monster Elsa Sue. Sue cries to the crowd, "It's still me," to the crowd that adored her, but they still brutally attack her because she doesn't fit into their fantasy anymore. So that's one choice, very difficult one. You really have to be a strong person who knows your value, who relies on internal validation to choose this path. The benefit of this choice, though, is that it leads towards freedom. The other choice is to play along and try to satisfy their fantasy of a perfect beauty. This is the choice that Sue and Elizabeth make. Elizabeth, all her life, was valued only for her looks. She didn't learn how to value herself for anything else. Losing this adoration is so unbearable for her that she can't let go of Sue, even though she is destroying her body. Being Sue, living inside of Sue, is like a drug for Elizabeth. She gets high of it. She can't live without it. She wants more and more. But she doesn't notice that Sue is in a trap too. She is not free either. And that's because she must be perfect, or everybody else will turn away from her, just like they did with Elizabeth. Third and most important psychological meaning of this movie is self-hate. Everything in the movie seems so strange, grotesque, and subjective because we see the world through Elizabeth's lens, through her feelings towards herself. We can even argue that everything that's happening is kinda happening inside of her. The drama of Elizabeth is not that others think that she lost her value as she aged, is that she lost her own value because she lost her looks. Her body is tortured, damaged, hurt, discarded for the new one. This gigantic scar on Elizabeth's spine from Sue's birth is a very straightforward way to tell us Elizabeth is an empty shell, just like those shrimps. And just like an empty shell, she has to be discarded. Notice the level of disgust on Sue's face every time she looks at Elizabeth's body, her own body. That's what she feels towards herself. Sue removes Elizabeth's photo from the wall, just not to see her anymore, and then hides her body in the dark closet somewhere in the bathroom. It was very interesting to see that in the beginning it's only Elizabeth's body that's being treated so badly. It's left on the floor in a weird pose and then it's hidden away, and Sue is clearly disgusted when she has to touch Elizabeth. Elizabeth, on the contrary, is very caring towards Sue's body, but only in the beginning. As the story progresses, Elizabeth starts hating Sue also. The better self hates the worse self, let's call it this way, but the worse self also hates the better self. And that's because the better self is feeding on her, destroying her.
Would you share one of your little beauty secrets with us? Just one little trick of yours that helps you look so incredibly stunning. I mean, look at you.
I don't know,
Say it! Say it!
let me think.
Say it! Tell them who your little beauty secret is.
For Elizabeth, her own body is just an instrument. That's why she sacrificed it to sustain and produce Sue. Her body exists to please others. Her self-esteem feeds on their admiration. Without it, she is nothing. You don't think it happens in real life? It happens when girls overexercise themselves to look perfect, even destroying their health. Or when they starve themselves to look perfect. Or when they do numerous plastic surgeries and they don't know when to stop, just because they want to look perfect for others. It's crazy to realize how much we are ready to hurt ourselves to please everyone, to feel beautiful enough. And the result of it is the monster Elsa Sue. This is a metaphor towards the person who did too many plastic surgeries, turning themselves into a monster. If you don't see your inner value, you will chase the perfection forever, because perfection is unattainable. Elizabeth's better version, Sue, still proved to be imperfect, so she had to use substance again, hoping to produce even better self. She didn't know when to stop. Interestingly, the monster is the only version of Elizabeth that likes what she sees in the mirror. In a way, she is freer than both Elizabeth and Sue. She believes in herself so much that she puts on the ball gown and goes on stage. Here I am, true me, the way I am, and I'm ready to present myself to you. People, of course, hate her for this. Society does not forgive women who like themselves. If you don't believe me, try instead of saying, "Oh, thank you, that's not true," to a compliment, saying, "Yes, I know," and see for yourself. It's very symbolical that in the end, whatever is left of Elizabeth is only her face, her image, and that image is crawls to die on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. In the beginning of the movie, they showed us how people are walking over her star, not noticing it at all, dropping their food on it, and now she goes to die there. That's how meaningful that place is for her. That's her legacy. That's what it was all for. In the morning, the floor gets washed and Elizabeth disappears forever. We are left with a question: was it all worth sacrificing her life when people didn't even notice and quickly moved on to a new toy? Thank you for watching this video. If there are any other symbols, psychological references that I've missed, please comment on the video to add to it. Your kind thumbs up will help this video to move forward in the algorithm, so I will highly appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and I will see you in my next videos. Bye bye.